Believe it or not, it's Fulani militia that is helping Bill Gates to achieve his GMO food in Nigeria especially. How can GMO food get its way to Nigeria? Number one agenda is by getting rid of all original seed in Nigeria. Number two is to weaponize hunger. So when these two things that I've just mentioned is being accomplished, Bill Gates did not need to tell you that should I bring my GMO food before you yourself you'll be asking for GMO food. You'll now be hearing something like food na food I beg, may anyone come, may man fit survive. You know that food where you dey think say na it go survive you, na it won't even kpai you. Now hunger fit kpai you once, but this food where they say oh make I just chop am make hunger no kpai you, we kpai you slowly, and the baddest thing is when you are being kpai slowly. It's better you kpai once than be kpai slowly. That is the dangerous thing. Now let me go back to how Fulani militia have been assisting Bill Gates to achieve his GMO agenda. You see a lot of Fulani videos destroying our crops, not just destroying them, making sure there is no crop left out whenever they storm any farm. Make sure they feed all those crops to their animal. If it's yam, they will make sure they burn it to ashes. Anything they see, they destroy, so that there will not be remaining ones to replant. If the agenda of not seeing food and not seeing the seed to replant them is accomplished, hunger will definitely strike people. When hunger now strike people, people will now be demanding to eat anything that is food, even if it's not good for their health. They will request for it just to survive. And that is what has been happening in Nigeria, and a lot of you did not know. A lot of my people, my own people, they are farmers. I'm from Benue State and my people are farmers. My people are the ones suffering more in this aspect. They keep unaliving my people because they are farmers, keep destroying our farm because they are farmers. Not just Benue people, the middle belt as a whole, because we middle belter, we are known for farming. Majority of the food you see in Nigeria is being made in middle belt. That is why you see attack on these places. So Nigerian, we must wake up to say no to GMO food, no to Fulani massacre in middle belt part, no to Fulani massacre of our farmers. We need to stand up and hold hands together and fight against this nonsense happening in our lovely country. Say no to GMO. Anyway, share your thoughts on the comment section responsibly, and for those that love to cry, cry responsibly.
Is referred to Committee on Ecological Fund. The 10th order of the day is a motion on the need to investigate the introduction of genetically modified crops in Nigeria. Standing in the name of Honorable Tolani Shakaya. Honorable Shagaya is invited to move the motion. 2 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, I remain Honorable Mukhtar Tolani Shagaya, and I represent Nigerians, starting from Ilorin West, Asa Federal Constituency, and from the state of Harmony, Mr. Speaker, Kwara State. Mr. Speaker, I rise this afternoon to move a motion on the need to investigate the introduction of genetically modified crops in Nigeria. The House notes that genetically modified crops, commonly referred to as GM crops, are plants used for agricultural purposes whose DNA have been altered using genetic engineering methods. The House also notes that the recent introduction of genetically modified crops in Nigeria has raised serious questions, mostly about safety, regulatory oversight, and the potential impact on the country's biosafety and ecosystem. The House is aware that genetically modified foods have been created to contain almost anything, including genes which have higher levels of toxicity and negative long-term effects on human health. The House is further aware that the National Biosafety Management Agency, NBMA, has been accused of approving the introduction of GM crops into Nigeria without following due process and scientific protocols. The House is also concerned that these GM crops are being introduced into Nigeria at a time when the said crops are being banned in several countries like France, Russia, Germany, China, India, and a host of other countries in Europe due to safety concerns. The House is also concerned that GMO crops' long-term impact on human health remains uncertain, prompting precautionary measures due to potential health risks, including cancer, antibiotic resistance, allergic reactions, and reproductive issues. The House is cognizant that of the need to prioritize public health, biodiversity, and traditional farming practices due to uncertainties surrounding the long-term impact of GMOs on health, environment, and food security. Therefore, the House resolves to 1. urge the federal government to suspend the introduction of newly enhanced genetically modified crops until an investigation by the Committee on Agricultural Production and Services is completed and the findings are made public. 2, also urge the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, to cause the already introduced GM foods and crops in Nigeria to be properly labeled to safeguard consumers. 3, mandate the Committee on Agricultural Production and Services to A, conduct a comprehensive investigation into the introduction of genetically modified crops in Nigeria by the National Biosafety Management Agency. B, assess the potential health and environmental risks associated with genetically modified crops and report back to the House within 4 weeks. And finally, mandate the Committee on Legislative Compliance to ensure compliance. Mr. Speaker, honourable colleagues, I so move.
Thank you. Honourable Dalaba.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Abubakar Hassan Nalaraba, OON. I represent Awido Makana Federal Constituency from Nasarawa State. I rise to second the motion ably moved by my dear colleague, Honorable Fulani-Farmer. I so second, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. It's a straightforward motion. Those in support of this motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. This motion is referred to the Committees on Agricultural Production and Services. The 11th order of the day is a motion on
GMO foods are nutrient deplete, nutrient insufficient, and anybody who consumes food over time that is nutrient insufficient becomes deficient themselves, and that's the basis of many of our chronic medical conditions today.
Modified, manipulated, marketed, the food on your plate today may not be what your grandparents ate, and chances are you were never told. As Nigeria battles hunger, climate change, and soaring food prices, genetically modified organisms, GMOs, are being pushed as a solution.
The only reason why people are scoffing now is because GM is transgenics, meaning that you are bringing a gene from another species into it. But we are using molecular breeding whether we like it or not.
Come here and say science is telling me this is an insult on our ancestors. Stop that nonsense.
Are you saying that an organization like the NMBA is lying to the Nigerian people?
When you carry a bunch of quote-unquote people, sequester them, and you train them into a particular way of thinking and speaking,
we cannot digest anything that's genetically modified because we do not have the fitting enzymes to digest it. Now the body is basically handling it as toxic waste. And this is what's so dangerous. That food is now dead and mutated, filled with pesticides or whatever it might be. The body has no idea what to do with it. Keeps on producing enzymes, trying to produce biochemical and neuroelectrical reactions to somehow get rid of it. Digestion is the main cause of loss or the main use of energy. Digestion takes the most energy out of us. But now usually you digest for a certain amount of time and then you stop. But with genetically modified food, it's in your body for hours or days or weeks. And the body keeps on trying to get rid of it. There are toxic gases being created by this process of rotting away. The food is not being digested, it's rotting away. And constantly producing toxins and toxic gases. And this is got where just one element of this starts.
We're going to see them in our supermarkets soon?
Well, not in the supermarkets in the UK, but hopefully in the supermarkets in the tropical countries, in Nigeria, in Indonesia, where it's very hot. For these farmers, it's easier and more efficient because there's no need.
You don't have to pluck them.
That's right. There's no need to pluck them. A proportion.
All protocol observed. Firstly, yes, sir. Firstly, I attended the 7th annual conference of the NBMA 2 weeks ago, and they stated in the conference that their laboratories were going to be ISO certified. And I stand to say here that we don't have more than 3 ISO certified laboratories here in Nigeria, and I'm wondering which of the laboratories were certified enough to carry out GMO experiments in Nigeria. Number 2, risk assessment. We have asked many of them several times for risk assessments, and they never provided it to us. And that's because the risk assessment that was used in Nigeria from information from NBMA is from the EFSA risk assessment, which is for just for 2 years. And 2 years is not enough to evaluate the impact of GMOs on our health, on our environment, and also generally. Because there's sufficient proof that in the 16-year research in Canada that shows that the use of pesticide increased by 244% when they kept using GMO crops. And I'm happy that she stated that pesticides cause cancer, because they really do cause cancer. There's sufficient research. There is a republished research by Professor Seralini that proves that GMOs cause tumors and cancers. And you see, I also stating from the conference I attended, all the promoters, NBMA is supposed to be a biosafety organization, but all the speakers that spoke at their event were all promoters of GMO. So much so that OFAB was sharing conference materials at such an event. That is similar to a football, the referee scoring goals. The referee is now the one officially taking free kick in the match, because NBMA is supposed to be a neutral organization. There were only 2 of us.
Very clear. Nigeria is not yet ripe for genetically modified organisms. And the reasons are very clear. I'm a scientist. I'm a researcher. I'm heading a Center for Food Safety and Agricultural Research in a university here in Nigeria, and I've studied across the globe. Genetically modified organisms that we are referring to here in Nigeria are transgenic. That means genes are exported from other organisms across species barriers into organisms that they were not supposed to be there or naturally. For example, genes that confer the ability of a snake to have venom can be extracted and inserted in a crop